record this session. I will post the video later today. If you guys want a copy, just let me know and I'll shoot it to you. You could probably just like add your email on this if you want like a copy of it. Your choice. All right. First things first, I would like to give you guys a quick QR code. So you guys have your phones, scan the QR code. All right, this is good. This is so you can have the slides of what we're going through today. All right. Just in case you guys want to practice later, stuff like that, right? What I highly recommend is since you guys have the slides and the questions, right? Copy and paste those questions into AI, right? Ask AI for other questions that are similar to that, just like that. And then that gives you more questions to practice before your final. All right. But let's jump into what we're doing today. All right. This is going to be a good one. Let's look at question one. All right. This is probably one of the hardest ideas to get through in this class, but we can attempt it. All right. So this one is called evaluating a function, this question. All right. How do I do this? All right, tell me what to do.
F is -4.
Mm-hmm.
Plug it in. So
That's the keyword I want to hear. Plug it in. All right. So I have, let me see, f of x is equal to 3x squared plus 2x minus 4. And everywhere I have an x, I'm going to replace it with -4. So I want to know what is f of -4. So that's going to be 3 times -4 squared plus 2 times -4 minus 4. A little bit of math, boom, 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 and we're done. All right. So remember in PEMDAS, we always do our parentheses for, our exponents, excuse me, first. So -4 squared is, what do we think that is? Say it again, 16, right? So this will be 3 times 16 plus 2 times -4 minus 4. After that, we got to do our multiplication. All right. 3 times 16, what's that? All right. So 48. 2 times -4, what's that? -8. Very good. And then minus 4. Right. And then you already know 48 minus 8, that's just 40 minus 4. And then that's just 36. All right. That's question one of your exam. What y'all think? Y'all good? Questions on that? Everybody online good with this? I'll speak at once. All right. Let's look at question two. Now, question two is probably going to be the easiest question that y'all have on the exam. So I'm expecting everybody to get 100 on it. All right. Yeah. All right. So I want to do factor completely. All right. Instructions say factor completely. How I do this? What do I look for first?
uh, well, first you have to figure out what's 50.
Right. The first one, GCF, right? So what is the GCF here? What we think? Uh-huh. There is. Yes. So I need a couple of things, right? I need a number that goes into 50 and 18, right? Evenly. I need some variables that they have in common. What is it? 2? All right, let's start off with 2. So 2 and what? 2 and x to the third. All right. So let's start off with that. So I heard 2 and x to the third. Let's see. So I'm going to divide this by 2x to the third, right? And so whatever you factor out, it's like you have to divide by it, right? 2x to the third. Now 50 divided by 2, what's that? 25, good. And then x to the 7 divided by x to the third is x to the fourth, right? All right, this is a hard one now. A negative divided by a positive is a, all right, that's what I'm talking about. And 18 divided by 2 is, that's what I'm talking about. X to the third divided by x to the third is, cancels out, very good. And then we just have y squared. Cool. All right. Am I done? All right, what can I do after this? What's step 2?
You can simplify.
All right. So help me do that. All right. So this is the difference of two perfect squares. All right. So I'm gonna give y'all a hint. But y'all gonna tell me what to write. There goes your hint. What's the answer? Uh-huh. 5x what? 5x. Like, no. 5x. No, to the second power. Now we're talking, right? And then plus what? 3. Very good. And then what I put on the other side? Exactly, right? So 5x squared minus 3y. This is my complete answer, right? This is factor completely. Any questions on this one? All right. Now, bear with me 1 second. Should really open this in another window, but it is what it is. Just close that. Hope y'all entered the raffle. So, excuse me, sorry about that. Just want to point out something, right? Those of you making reference to the formula sheet right here. All right. When we were dividing our exponents, we have our exponent rules here that you can always reference, if needed be, right? Also, you have your arithmetic operations up here, if needed be. All right. So don't sit confused on your exam. Look it up if it doesn't make sense. All right. And then we'll go through some more of this as we're moving through the final. All right. Anyways, let's look at the next question. Oh, baby. This is that next question right here. My least favorite. I mean, it's not my least favorite to do. It's my least favorite to create. Let me say it like that. I don't like making these questions, but doing them is not that bad. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms here, right? What do I do when I have 4 terms? What's it called? Right, factor by grouping. Very good. All right, so let's do that. Don't know why this was going off. All right. So let's do factor by grouping, right? So I'm gonna draw a line right here. I'm gonna group the first two terms together, group the last two terms together, right? So uh, okay. Sorry about that. All right. So we're gonna group the first two terms and group the last two terms together. So I'm looking at the first group. That's the 2a plus ab. What's the greatest common factor there? A. Very good, all right? So now whenever I factor out of a, it's like I'm dividing by a. It's like I'm dividing by a, right? So what's left over? 2 plus b. Very good. All right, this next one's really hard now, all right? I'm looking at my second group, right? This is the negative 2c minus bc. What's the greatest common factor there? C, okay, give me something better. Negative c, right? So this is negative c. Now remember, whenever you factor out a negative c, it's like you're dividing by negative c. It's like you're dividing by negative c, right? So now a negative divided by a negative is a positive, good. C and c will cancel out, leaving back just 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. C and C cancels out, leaving back just B, right? Whenever you're doing these types of questions, you should have the same thing in parentheses, right? So let's do the greatest common factor one more time, right? Both of these terms have what in common? 2 plus B, right? So I'm going to factor out a 2 plus B. So when I factor out the 2 plus B, right? And I factor out the 2 plus B, what am I left with? A minus C. That's perfect. All right. That's my answer right there. Any questions on this type of question? You good? Go ahead. When you have four terms. Yeah. 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 So now that you bring that up, the sign of your leading term is the sign of your factor. So if your beginning term is negative, your factor will be negative. If your beginning term is positive, you're right, their factor will be positive. All right. So that could help as well. All right. Doo, doo, doo. This next one coming up, we got options. We got options, all right? So this says factor completely, all right? So here's your two options that you can do, right? You could either factor it using the AC method, nothing wrong with that, right? Because we have one, two, three terms. Or, right? Remember in the class, we learned how to find the roots. We learned how to find the answers for this whenever we set it equal to 0, right? You can use the answer, right? Find the answer and then flip it back into the factors, right? So we got two ways to do it. So let's do it both ways so we can see the difference. All right. All right. So now let's do the AC method, right? Remember that this is what? Corresponding to ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So what do we have? We have a times c. It's going to be equal to 3 times negative 2, which is equal to, what's that? Negative 6. Perfect, right? And then I have my b term, which is equal to 1, right? Now here's the challenging part, right? I need two numbers that when I multiply them together will give me a negative 6, or when I add them together will give me a positive 1. What are they? Positive 3 and negative 2. Perfect, right? So that's negative 6. And let me check it. 3 plus negative 2, that is positive 1. After you figure out those two numbers, right? You want to rewrite this equation, right? I mean expression, excuse me, right? With the factors in the middle. So now instead of the 3x squared plus x minus 2, I have 3x squared, right? Then plus 3x minus 2x minus 2, right? Now look where I'm back to. I'm back to having four terms, right? So we know what to do when we have four terms, right? We're going to group them. Here we go, right? We have our left-hand group, we have our right-hand group. In my left-hand group, I have 3x squared plus 3x. What's the greatest common factor? 3x, perfect, right? So when I factor out a 3x, like I'm dividing by 3x, like I'm dividing by 3x, right? 3x squared divided by 3x is x, right? And then 3x divided by 3x is, right? So that's 1. A little bit harder. I have a negative 2x minus 2. What's the greatest common factor? Negative 2. Perfect, right? So remember, whenever I factor out negative 2, it's like I'm dividing by negative 2. It's like I'm dividing by negative 2, right? So what's left over? Negative 2 cancels out. You have x, right? And negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1, right? So then now you can greatest common factor one more time. They both have x plus 1 in common. So I'm going to factor out a x plus 1. When you factor out the x plus 1, let's see what's left over, right? Boom, boom. I have what? 3x minus 2. And that's it. Those are my factors, right? That's one option that we have, right? Another option that we have, if we were going to do this question, let's do it a second time, right? I'm going to pull it over here, right? I think I might do it in blue also, right? Just to compare. Listen to me. Come on, man. All right, we good. All right. So you could set this equal to 0. So 3x squared plus x minus 2 equals to 0, right? You can find the roots of it and then use the roots to flip it back into the factors. This is how we'll do that, right? Let's complete the square on this one. This is a nice question to complete the square. So I want to add 2 over here. And remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So then now we have 3x squared plus x is equal to 2, right? Remember that my a term has to be 1, right? My a term has to be 1 when completing the square. So I have to divide everybody by the a term. Everybody gets divided by it, just like that, right? So now what do I have? I have x squared plus 1 over 3x is equal to 2 over 3, right? And then we have our magic formula, right? Remember the magic formula for completing the square? Right. Exactly, right? So we have our negative b over 2a squared. Let's plug that in, right? So we should have negative, what's my b? 1/3 divided by 2 times a, which is 1. I'm just going to square that, right? Let's do a little math on this. This becomes what? Negative 1 over 3 over 2 over 1 squared. You already know, keep, change, flip. This is going to be negative 1 over 3 times 1 over 2 squared, multiply straight across. I'm going to have negative 1 over 6 squared, right? And when we square that, we're going to get 1 over 36, right? Not too bad, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to add 1 over 36 to both sides of this equation, just like that, right? And then now I have x squared plus 1/3 x plus 1 over 36. That is a perfect square trinomial. Let me change up the color a little bit because this is starting to get a little confusing, right? So I want to factor this. So this is going to become, x is always going to be there, right? Whatever your b term is, the sign of your b term, excuse me, that's going to be the sign of your factor. So that's positive. It's going to be positive, right? And then this is going to be something squared. How do I know what this is? This number is the number that you had before you squared. That's the 1 over 6. That's simple, right? And then on the other end, we're going to add these together. Let's see. I need a 12 over here to make this into 36. So I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 2 times 12 is 24. 24 plus 1, let's call that 25 over 36. Just like that, right? Let me rewrite that down here, make it pretty. This is going to be x plus 1 over 6 squared is equal to 25 over 36. After that, you want to square root both sides. What you do to one side, you do to the other. This is going to become what? X plus 1 over 6 is equal to plus or minus 5 over 6, right? Then you want to subtract the 1 over 6 from over here. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other, right? Boom. So now let's do the math on this. I have x is equal to negative 1 over 6 plus or minus 5 over 6. Remember that this is two answers, right? One answer is negative 1 over 6 minus 5 over 6, right? Let's just call that negative 1, right? And then the other one is negative 1 over 6 plus 5 over 6. Let's call that 4 over 6. 4 over 6 could get reduced. Let's call that 2 over 3. All right. So now I have two answers. I have x is equal to negative 1, and I have x is equal to positive 2 over 3. Right? This is how you change it into the factors, right? Move the numbers next to the x. That's simple. Add 1 over here. What I do to one side, do to the other. Look at that. X plus 1. There goes your factor, right? Over here, I have x is equal to 2 over 3. Multiply by 3 on both sides. Get rid of this. Times 3. So now I have 3x is equal to 2 minus 2 from both sides. Here goes your other factor. 3x minus 2. And that's it. That's how you use the roots to get back to your factors, right? Same factors, right? X plus 1, 3x minus 2. X plus 1, 3x minus 2. All right? You could have used a quadratic equation to solve this if you wanted to, right? Just to recap, quadratic equation is, where is it? Oh, one sec. All right. Just to recap, bop, bop, bop. Where are you? Here we go. So we got the quadratic equation here. Remember, it corresponds to ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, right? And it is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Plug in the numbers, boom, boom, boom. It gives you the answers, the roots. And use that same process that I just did. You move the numbers back next to where the x is. That's how you get the factors whenever you find the answer, right? Completing the square in case you forget on the day of the test, right? You have the whole process right here, right? Step by step, right? If you're solving for one, divide by the coefficient, move the other number over, right? You have your magic formula, negative b over 2a squared, plug that in, add it to both sides, factor it, solve for the variable, right? There you go. Not too bad, not too bad. Questions, anybody? Good. All right, let's look at the next question. Let's look at the next question. Let's see what we get into after this. Question 4. Now, question 4 is a little annoying, all right? A little bit more challenging, right? Here's the problem with question 4. Question 4 is indeed telling you to factor, right? We're going to factor quadratic, but it's telling us how it wants it to be done by factoring. In other words, it's forcing us to use the AC method, all right? So yes, there will be a question on the test that's gonna tell you to factor, but it's gonna like give you like free range, like do what you want to answer it kind of thing. And then there'll be another question on the exam where it's gonna be like, all right, I want you to answer, but do it this way by factor, right? So walk me through how to do this one. I got 5x squared plus 15x minus 50. What should I do first? Greatest common factor. Very good, right? Factoring out 5. So remember, it's like you're dividing by 5. It's like you're dividing by 5. It's like you're dividing by 5. What's left over? Minus 10. Perfect, perfect. All right. So now, go ahead. What's my answer there? You know, there's going to be x and x here. All right. Give me two numbers that when I multiply them together will give me a negative 10. When I add them together, will give me a positive 3. Give me something better. Mm-hmm. You're close. Give me something better. Remember, I want to add up to positive 3, and it has to multiply to negative 10. Positive 5 and negative 2. Perfect. Right? Because 5 times negative 2, that is indeed negative 10. And 5 plus negative 2, that is positive 3. All right? And that's it. This is my full answer right here. Yes, you need to include that 5 as well. All right? Questions on this? All right. This is going to be good. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Oh, this is too easy. Too easy right here. This next question is telling us to solve it by completing the square. We lit. All right. So I got x squared minus 8x is equal to 1. This question is so easy. We don't even have to divide by a or nothing. We just got to use our magic formula, right? So we got negative b over 2a squared. Let's plug in all these variables, right? This is going to be what? Negative of negative 8 divided by 2 times 1 squared. Let's call that 4 squared. Let's call that 16. Once you figure out 16, add that to both sides, right? So I'm going to add 16 over here. I'm going to add 16 over here, all right? After that, that was scary. After that, we have a perfect square trinomial right here. We already know that the first term will be x. The sign of my b term will be the same sign of my factor, all right? And whatever number I had before I squared it, that's the number that's going to come right here. Boom. Squared is equal to 1 plus 16. What's that, like 18? What's 1 plus 16 again? 17. Appreciate you. All right. After that, very simply, just solve for x. Right. That's right. So I want to square root this, get rid of the square. But what I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So now I have x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 17. And then what do I do after that? Perfect, right? I'm going to add 4 to both sides. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. Boom. So I have x is equal to 4 plus or minus square root 17. All right. I will accept an answer like this, or if you want to separate it, that's fine too. You could tell me x is equal to 4 minus square root 17, and x is equal to 4 plus square root 17. Right? Either you're going to give me a combo answer with the plus and minus, or you're going to separate the two. All right. I'll accept both answers. All right. Questions on it? Good. All right. Let's see what else we got. So this is that magical question right here where they tell you to solve for the answer, but you could do whatever you want, right? You could do whatever you want, right? Give me 1 second. So you can factor and get this answer. You can use the quadratic formula to get this answer, or you could complete the square. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little biased. I really, 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 really like completing the square. So that's why I keep doing it. All right. Not to mention that you see on the formula sheet, y'all got that. Y'all can look at it. So let's do it. I got 3x squared minus 9x plus 5 is equal to 2. Let's complete the square. Tell me what to do first. Very good. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I did one side to the other. So now I have 3x squared minus 9x is equal to, what's this, negative 3. What should I do after that? Say it again. Close. Well, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, it is factor out 3. I want to divide every term by 3, right? So you get divided by 3, you get divided by 3, you get divided by 3. The reason for doing this is because I need my A term to be 1, all right? So now I have what? X squared minus 3x equals negative 1. After that, you already know magic formula. I got negative b over 2a. I'm going to square that, just plug it in. This is going to become negative of negative 3 divided by 2 times 1 squared. Let's just call that 3 over 2 squared. Let's call that 9 over 4. So now when you find a 9 over 4, we're going to add that to both sides of the equation. So I'm going to add a 9 over 4 over here. And I'm going to add a 9 over 4 here. After you add the 9 over 4, we have a perfect square trinomial, right? So this is going to be what, right? Remember, the first term is going to be x. The sign of your b term, right? That's going to be the sign of your factor, right? And then the number that we're going to have here is going to be the same number that we had before we squared. So that's just going to be the 3 over 2. And then that's going to be equal to, I have negative 1 plus 9 over 4. Let's call that negative 4 over 4 plus 9 over 4. This is really hard. What's 9 minus 4? What is that? 5, right? So then this is just 5 over 4. All right, almost done. All we gotta do is just solve for x, and then we just call it a day at that. Right? So I'm going to square root both sides. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. All right? So now what do I have? I have x minus 3 over 2 is equal to square root 5 over what's the square root of 4 again? Plus or minus, of course, 2, right? So this becomes x minus 3 over 2 is equal to plus or minus square root 5 over 2. After that, we're just going to add the 3 over 2 to both sides. Add 3 over 2. So now I have x is equal to 3 over 2 plus or minus square root 5 over 2. I would accept this answer right here. Please note that this answer could have also been written as x is equal to 3 plus or minus square root 5 over 2. I would have accepted this answer as well, right? Or if you want, you could separate them into two, your choice, right? If you're going to separate them into two, one answer would be x equals, let's say, 3 minus square root 5 over 2. Another answer would have been x equals 3 plus square root 5 over 2, right? However you want to answer this, I'll take any one of these three answers, right? I guess it's fair to say that this could have also gone this way. I could have said x equals 3 over 2 minus square root 5 over 2. That's technically legal. And x equals 3 over 2 plus square root 5 over 2. That is also the same thing. Any one of these four answers, however you like to put it, your choice. All right, no pressure. Questions on it? Good. All right. Interesting. It's like if you know how to do the quadratic, as most of the points on the test right there. All right, this next question is real easy. Real easy. I'll give y'all like a second to try that real quick while I check what's coming in. All right. What's the first step to do this? Starts with an F. Factor, right? So let's factor the top. I have x squared minus 1. What does that become? Very good, right? Difference of two perfect squares, x plus 1, x minus 1, right? One positive, one negative. A little bit harder. How about the bottom? I have x squared plus 3x plus 2. You know that this is going to be x and x. Now, this is really hard. I need two numbers that when I multiply them together will give me a positive 2. When I add them together will give me a positive 3. What are they? 2 and 1, right? So plus 2 plus 1 times I have x plus 2 over x, right? After you get this far, all you have to do is just cross out the like terms, right? You can cross them out diagonally or up and down. All right, tell me what to do. Are there any like terms? X plus 2, x plus 2, very good. Anything else? Very good. X plus 1 and x plus 1. So my final answer here is going to be x minus 1 over x, and that's it. All right. Mm-mm. You can't do that. Like this is illegal to do something like that. All right. Think of the top as being in parentheses the same way it is here. Like that's like a unit. when you have that adding and subtracting in there, so it can't get broken down. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, let's take a look at the next question. All right. I think we've been through the hard part of the exam. I feel like the rest of it is going to be easy. All right. Once again, on the formula sheets, you guys got your exponential rules, your arithmetic rules. We're just playing with that right now. It's not too bad. Well, that's some construction outside. Okay. So now what am I doing here? I'm dividing, keep change flip, right? Two fractions, right? So I got my 7x over x squared minus 5x minus 14. I'm going to change my division to multiplication. And then I want to flip my second term, right? This is going to become x plus 2 over x squared plus 5x. What should I do after that? Starts with an F. Factor, right? So I'm going to remain, I have the 7x up top here. But what about the bottom? What's that going to become? All right. I know it's x here and x here. I need two numbers, and when I multiply them, will give me a negative 14. Or when I add them together, will give me a negative 5. What are they? Negative 7 and 2. Very good, right? Whoops. That's not how you write 7. Negative 7 and 2, right? So negative 7 times 2, that's negative 14. Negative 7 plus 2, that's negative 5. All right, not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. And then I still have my x plus 2 up here. What about the bottom? What do I have there? It says x squared plus 5x. What can I do there? Factor out x, right? So now I'm left with x times x plus 5, right? After that, just cross out the like terms. What like terms do I have here? X plus 2. What else do I have? X and x, right? So I'm going to cross out this x and cross out this x, right? So now what am I left with as my final answer? Mm-mm. S- Perfect. X minus 7, x plus 5. That's perfect. That's it, right? Whenever I cross them out, think of it as becoming like a 1. It's not the whole thing that got crossed out. All right. Any questions on this? All right, all right. Sounds good. Remember what I want y'all to do, right? You're gonna take these questions, throw them into AI, ask for another question just like it, just to help you practice. I'll show you how to do one at the end. All right. Okay. Not too bad. I got 5x over x squared minus 25 minus 7 over x plus 5, right? What do I need in order to subtract, right? How do I subtract two fractions? What do I need to do? Okay. I have to find the starts with a L. LCD, right? So now I have 5x over, let's factor that x squared minus 25. What is that? Very good, right? Minus the 7 over the x plus 5. Now remember, in order for me to subtract two fractions, I got to have the same denominator, right? So how can I make these denominators the same? Tell me. What would make these two denominators the same? Multiply. Okay, by what? Not x plus 5, x minus 5, right? See, this one over here, all it needs is an x minus 5, and it's the same thing as the other one, right? But I got to be fair. What I do to the bottom, I got to do to the top, right? After this, once they have the same denominator, the rest of the question is cake, right? So I got 5x minus 7 times x minus 5 all over the x plus 5, x minus 5. Very simply, take that negative 7, distribute, combine like terms, and we're done. So this is 5x minus 7x, negative is positive, plus 35. All divided by x plus 5, x minus 5. All right? Let's combine like terms. So what do I have? So 5x minus 7x is, no, not 6, negative 2x plus 35 over the x plus 5, x minus 5. Here's my question. Is there a greatest common factor between negative 2x and 35? All right, nope, so I'm done. That's it. You can leave the denominator split like that. It's easy to see that there's nothing that can cancel out with it from the top. All right. Questions on this? This one was subtracting rational expressions. All right. So now I have a fraction divided by a fraction. All right. So indeed, I do want to eventually get down to the point where I can keep change flip. But before that, I gotta have the same denominator, right? Or in other words, I gotta simplify the bottom fraction, like this part here. It's gotta get simplified first before I can keep change flip and all that, right? So up top, I got 3 over x squared minus 9. On the bottom, right, what's the LCD? Between x plus 3 and x minus 3, what's the LCD? Nobody? All right, just multiply them together, right? So LCD will be x plus 3, x minus 3. All right. So now, in order for me to get them to have the same denominator, this is 7 over x plus 3. I have to multiply that by x minus 3. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. All right. Keep this minus sign that's already in the problem. Right? I have a 4 over x minus 3. To make it the same as the other, I have to multiply the x minus 3 times x plus 3. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. Right? Let's distribute, combine like terms, all that good stuff. So I have 3 over x squared minus 9 over, what's this? 7x minus 21. This one is going to be negative 4x minus 12. Of course, all over the x minus 3, x plus 3. All right? Combine like terms to see what we get. I have 3 over x squared minus 9 over, what's this, 3x minus, I think it's 33, something like that. Right? Over the x minus 3, x plus 3. Finally, I could do keep, change, flip, right? Finally. So now I have 3 over the x squared minus 9, right? Instead of the division, we'll change it to multiplication. And then flip this, x minus 3, x plus 3, right? Over the 3x minus 33. Now let's factor, cross out the like terms, all that good stuff, So this would be 3 over the x plus 3, x minus 3 times x plus 3, x minus 3 over greatest common factor, x minus 11. After that, cross out the like terms. You already know. Bop, 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 bop. Final answer. 1 over x minus 11. And that's it. Questions, anybody? It's not too bad, right? Just break it down, cross out the like terms. Good? All right, let's take a look at the next question. Give you guys a chance to catch up with this, or to try it, I mean. So I have x over x minus 2 plus 3 over x plus 7 equals 2x plus 29 over x squared minus 5x minus 14. Solve for x. All right, let's take a look at this one. Right. So I'm gonna have x over x minus 2 plus 3 over x plus 7 equals 2x plus 29 over, and then we want to factor the bottom. A little bit hard though. I need two numbers that when I multiply them together, right, will give me a negative 14, but when I add them together, it will give me a positive 5. What are they? All right. So which one's positive? Which one's negative? 7 is what? Yeah. It doesn't matter the order. Which one's positive, which one's negative? All right, x plus 2. Mm, I don't think so. Sure. X plus 7, right? And then x minus 2. How did I know that? Right? Because positive 7 minus 2 is going to give me a positive 5, right? And positive 7 times negative 2, that's going to give me a negative 14. Just like that, right? Now you already know I need the same denominator to go through with this question, right? So LCD, what's my LCD? X plus 7, x minus 2. Perfect, right? This first term has an x minus 2, but it's missing the x plus 7. So I'm going to give it to it. But what I do to the bottom, got to do to the top, right? The second term here has an x plus 7, but it's missing a x minus 2. What I do to the bottom, do to the top, right? And then the last term is just perfect, right? So let's look at what we have now, right? So I have x times x plus 7 plus 3 times x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 29. Let's make an observation here before we continue. All right. Whenever I have an equal sign, I have a rational equation, right? I can get rid of the denominator. I don't need to carry the denominator throughout the question. All right. This is only whenever you have an equation. This is only whenever you have a equal sign. All right. Otherwise, I need that denominator to stay throughout the question. All right, let's continue. So next, what I want to do, I want to distribute the x over here. I want to distribute 3 over here. And I want to combine like terms, solve for x, all that good stuff. So x times x, that's going to give me x squared. X times 7 plus 7x. 3 times x plus 3x. 3 times negative 2, negative 6 is equal to 2x plus 29. Combining like terms, I have x squared plus 10x minus 6 is equal to 2x plus 29. Let's move all our x's onto one side. So I'm going to subtract 2x from here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. Then I want to subtract 29 from over here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So it's 29, right? So now what do I have? I have x squared plus 8x minus 35, hello, hello, is equal to 0. Right. After that, all I have to do, factor this, whatever, quadratic formula, complete the square, whatever y'all like, and give me the answer. Right? Y'all know I'm partial to completing the square, so let's do that, right? I'm gonna add 35 over here. What I do to one side, you know I gotta do to the other. Right? So now I have x squared plus 8x is equal to 35, right? So now you know magic formula. This is going to be negative b over 2a squared. So this is going to be negative 8 over 2 times 1 squared. Let's call that negative 4 squared, and then that's going to be what, 16. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides of this equation, right? So now we already know that this factor is going to be what? X, whatever the sign of my B term is, it's going to be the sign of my factor. right? And whatever number I squared over here, that's the number that's gonna be here by itself. So this is just x plus 4 squared is equal to, oh boy, what's 35 plus 16? 51? What you got? Let me see, 45, 50, yeah, 51. Yeah. After that, just solve for x. Keep it simple, right? So I'm gonna square root both sides. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. X plus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 51, right? Then you want to subtract 4 from both sides, which you do to one side, you do to the other, right? So I have x is equal to -4 plus or minus the square root of 51. All right. Now, there are two answers here. I have x is equal to -4 minus square root 51, and x is equal to -4 plus square root 51. All right. Now, this is really important. Whenever I'm doing rational equations, right? Fractions with an equal sign, right? You have to verify that the answers that you found will not make the denominator 0. You have to verify that, right? So that means I found two answers here, and I need to make sure that they're not going to make the LCD 0. So let's see. I want to know, what is the LCD of -4 minus square root 51, right? Essentially, what I want to know, I want to know if LCD was what, x plus 7, x minus 2, right? So I want to know if -4 minus square root 51, what was that, plus 7? Let me just verify that. X plus 7, x minus 2, yep. Hold on one second. All right. And -4 minus square root 51, right? Minus 2. Verify one more time. X minus 2. There we go. Right. So what I want to know, right, is does that equal 0? When you plug it in, does that equal 0? Right. I don't feel like doing that math, but you could tell by looking that's not going to be 0. Right. Next thing I want to know is the LCD of -4 plus square root 5, right? 51, excuse me. Right. And then what I want to know, maybe I shouldn't have those there. Semicolon would have been better, right? What I want to know is -4 plus square root 51 plus 7, and -4 minus square root 51 minus 2. Excuse me, this was plus. Sorry about that. Does that equal 0? Right? And again, I'm feeling lazy, but you could tell by looking that's not going to be 0. If either one of those made it 0, that would be an extraneous solution. You cross that out, it would be a single solution. That's your answer. All right. So for this question, we just verify that this is in fact the right answer, or this, your choice, whatever you want to do. All right. Questions on this? Go ahead.
Yeah. The answer is three. I first one
Mhm.
and not move on to the.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is full credit, but I need that plus or minus in the middle, right? That's important. Yeah. And that's it. All right, let's take a look at the next question. This next question is asking us to simplify an expression. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. All right. Give you all a second to try that out. To those of you online, I am looking at the time. I know you all have to leave out around 10:51, which is fine. I'm recording this so you can just watch the rest of it online. All right, I'll give you that link later on. Okay. Yeah, I know while we're here, Santa's on campus. Oh man. I got y'all Christmas list ready. Right. I tell them, you know. Yeah, you can also verify this one in the calculator. It's one of those good questions. All right, so let's take a look. I'm looking for the largest perfect square that goes into each one of these individually, each term individually, and then I simplify from there. So for 20, what's the largest perfect square that goes into 20? 4 times 5, right? So this is square root 4 times square root 5, right? Plus, I have my 3. What's the largest perfect square that goes into 45? 9 and 5, right? So square root 9, square root 5. All right, a little bit harder. What's the largest perfect square that goes into square root 500? 100 times 5. Very good.
So
Mm-hmm.
I conclusion.
Nope. Yeah. That was for last week. Like we going over the actual final.
So you have
Yeah.
that.
I got you. I'll give you the end. Yeah, I'll give you the end. All right. So square root of 4 is what again? I forgot.
Yeah.
2, right? So this is 2 square root 5 plus 3. What's square root of 9 again? I forgot. 3. Very good. Square root 5, right? Bring down the minus. What's square root of 100? I'm impressed. That's 10 square root 5. Let's multiply. I have 2 square root 5 plus, I was about to say 6. What's 3 times 3 again? 9 square root 5. That's why I need y'all here, right? Minus 10 square root 5. All right. What is 2 square root 5 plus 9 square root 5 minus 10 square root 5? What's that? 1 square root 5, right? It's going to become 11 square root 5 minus 10 square root 5. Final answer will be just 1 square root 5. You could just say square root 5. You don't got to say the 1 if you don't want to, but same thing. Questions on this? Good? All right, let's take a look at the next question. Ooh, this is so easy. I can't even believe this is a question. I'm gonna let y'all try it. Y'all probably only need like 2 minutes for it. No, it's okay. Try that out. So at the end, I'm gonna give you a QR code and you're gonna have all these questions, all right? Can't believe Santa on campus. I didn't even bring my Christmas list with me. It was crazy. And Santa went to my elementary school yesterday. Oh man. I gotta wait for him to go to Bay Plaza. That's what it is. All right. There is a binomial square pattern that you can follow that you could just write the answer out straight up. Just to recap what that is, it's a minus b squared is equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, right? You can kind of just plug it in, bop, 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 get the answer, right? So in this case, this would be what? This would be square root of 6 squared minus 2 times square root of 6 times negative 2, excuse me, times 2, sorry about that, right? Plus 2 squared, right? So that would be what? 6 minus 4 square root 6 plus 4 combined like terms. That's just 10 minus 4 square root 6, right? That's one way of doing it, right? Let's say you on the test, right? And you forget how to do this. You know that this is, excuse me, this is square root 6 minus 2 squared, right? You know that that is square root 6 minus 2 times square root 6 minus 2. FOIL it, right? If you forget, just FOIL it. You know how to do that, right? Square root 6 times square root 6 is just 6. Square root 6 times negative 2, this is negative 2 square root 6. Negative 2 times square root 6 is negative 2 square root 6. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is just positive 4. Combine like terms, what do you get? 4, 6 plus 4 is 10. Negative 2 minus negative 2, negative 4 square root 6. Your choice, whichever one you want to use. Questions on this? That's what I was saying. This question gonna take you like 2 seconds. Not to worry. Oh boy. This is my favorite question right here. Like, I take it back. That other question I said was the easiest. Nah. This question right here is the easiest question. This not even like no like real algebra. This just an answer. Let me give y'all a second to answer that. All right. Know those of you online dipped already. That's cool. Good luck. Good luck. Study hard. Done? Easy, right? But yo, y'all know there's snacks over in the tutoring lab today. If y'all want like juice and coffee and stuff, they got all that today. Good stuff. Mhm. So now, anytime I have a negative exponent, you already know I'm going to throw that down into the denominator. So this 27 to the negative 2 over 3 is going to become 1 over 27 to the 2 over 3 power. Now you got options on how you can do this, right? You could square the 27 and then do the cube root of it, or you could cube root the 27 and then square it. Yeah, I know I'm gonna do the easiest way, right? So I'm gonna do 1 over the cube root of 27, and then whatever that answer is, I'm gonna square it, right? Keep it simple. So what is the cube root of 27? 3. Good, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3, 27, right? And then I got to square this. This is the hard part now. What's 3 squared? 9, right? So final answer, 1 over 9, and that's it. All right. Questions on this? Good? All right. Not too bad, not too bad. All right. Remember that these are your exponent rules. You see them on your formula sheet. This question is not bad, right? It says, suppose that x and y are positive, simplify this. All right, give y'all a chance to do this. My recommendation, simplify the inside first and then work your way to the outside. All right, let's take a look. All right. So I got 8 over 27, right? Remember that whenever you're raising a power to a power, everybody gets it. Then we're going to have x to the 6 over x to the third raised to the 2/3. And then we're going to have y to the 7 over y raised to the 2/3, right? Let's simplify this down, right? This is just going to be cube root of 8 squared over cube root of 27 squared times x to the 6 over x to the third. That's just x to the third raised to the 2/3, right? Times y to the 7 over y. This is just y to the 6 raised to the 2/3. Not too bad, right? Cube root of 8 is, what's that? All right, so I got 2 squared over, we just said this last problem, this is 3 squared times, oh boy, this is x to the 3 over 1 times 2 over 3, right? Whenever you raise a power to a power, you multiply, right? So what does that equal? X squared, right? 3 and 3 cancels, just a x squared. So now, last one, this is going to be y to the 6 over 1 times 2 over 3 power. What does that equal? 4, right? 3 goes into 3 ones, 3 goes into 6 2 times, right? So then that's just 4, right? Let's put it all together. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared, 9, right? Times x squared times y to the 4th power, right? You want to write it like that? That's cool. If you want to put it all together as 4 x squared y to the 4th over 9, you could do it like this, or we could do it like this. I don't care. All right. Questions on this? Good. All right. That was a little bit more complicated. Oh. In this question, I want to rationalize a denominator, right? I want to rationalize a denominator. So I got 3 over the square root of 5 minus 1. Remember, it's illegal for me to have radicals in my denominator. Hmm? All right, try that out. All right. How do I rationalize this denominator? Good, good, good. All right. Multiply it by the same thing, but positive. So square root 5 plus 1. But what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. After that, easy math, right? Distribute, distribute, call it a day. All right, this is 3 square root 5 plus 3. On the bottom, you already know square root 5 times square root 5 is just 5. And this is just plus square root 5 minus square root 5. And negative times a positive is negative minus 1. Combine like terms. You already know this becomes 3 square root 5 plus 3 over 5 minus 1, which is 4. And that's it. All right. Questions on this? You good? All right. Let's look at this next question. Equally as easy. And try that out. Same issue. It's illegal for me to have radicals in my denominator, so I want to rationalize the denominator. All right, let's get into this, right? So I have square root x minus 3 square root y over square root x. How can I rationalize this denominator? Very good, right? Multiply this by square root x. What I do to the bottom, gotta do to the top. All right. Simple math. Just distribute, right? Square root x times square root x is just x. Square root x times negative 3 square root y is going to be negative 3 square root xy, all divided by x. That's my answer. I'm done. Mhm. Questions on that? No. I don't need to. I could make it one, blah, blah, blah. But you did. No. Your answer would look like this if you did that. It would be 1 minus 3 square root xy over x. Same thing. Yeah. The first one I think is easier though. Next question looks real easy. Combining a couple of the topics that we did today. Check that out. I'm looking for an answer. So x equals blah, blah, blah. We only got a few more questions. Mhm. Your final's about 30 questions, so it's not too bad. Yeah, it's simple though. I think y'all have like 1 hour to do it, something like that. Well, I think I might be wrong. 20 minutes? Maybe. It could be. They got like ABs and all that. But I always say I feel like they give y'all too much time for the final. Yeah. I feel like all y'all need is like maybe 30 minutes, 45 tops. You know, that's it. Yeah. Whole class time? Nah, but they give you more than the class time. I think you get like 2 hours for that joint. Everybody going on to math 30 after this? No? Why not? You don't need math 30? What you doing? Nice. See? I like that. Nobody for nuclear medicine? Mm, it's all right. They make too much money anyway. Yeah, nuclear medicine. All right, let's do this, right? Long story short, blah, blah, blah. I want to solve for x. All right. So first thing you want to do, you want to isolate your radical. right? Isolate your radical. So I'm gonna subtract 2 from over here. But what I do to one side of the equation, I gotta do the other side of the equation. So now I have square root x squared minus 16 is equal to x minus 2. Now I want to get rid of that square root. So to get rid of the square root, I gotta do what? Square both sides, right? This is how I get rid of the square root. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. So now I have what? X squared minus 16 equals, what's this? X squared minus 4x plus 4, right? If you have trouble seeing how I did that, just remember this one. This is x minus 2 times x minus 2. Then you just FOIL it, all that good stuff, combine like terms. You'll get this answer out, right? Anyway, after that, let's solve for x, right? So I'm going to subtract x squared from here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other, right? I'm going to add 16 over here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So now what do I have? I have 0 is equal to negative 4x plus 20. I'm going to subtract 20 from over here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So now I have negative 20 is equal to negative 4x divided by negative 4. I do to one side, do to the other. I have x. Final answer, x is equal to 5, right? By right, we should plug it in and verify that it works. Let's do that, right? So I have this equation up here. So this is my check. Now, allegedly, if I plug in 5 squared minus 16 plus 2, that might equal 5, allegedly. Let's go through it real quick, right? So this becomes square root 25 minus 16 plus 2. That allegedly will equal 5. This becomes, oh Lord, what's that? 9. So square root 9 plus 2. Allegedly, that might equal 5. This becomes 3 plus 2. Still not sure if that equals 5, but in fact, 5 does equal 5. That's it. That's how you check. So we good to go. Any questions on this? Good? All right, let's take a look at the next question. This is an oldie but a goodie. Try that out. I want to perform the operation of complex numbers and simplify. Blah, blah, blah. Distribute, combine like terms, all that good stuff. All right, let's try this out. I have 3 minus 5i times 2 minus 7i minus 4 minus 3i. Very simply distribute, right? So 3 times 2, that's 6. 3 times negative 7i, negative 21i. Negative 5i times 2, that's negative 10i. And then negative 5i times negative 7i is going to give me a positive 35i squared. After that, distribute this negative. This is going to be negative 4. And then distribute this. This is going to be positive 3i. After that, square your exponents first. This becomes 6 minus 21i minus 10i plus 35 times negative 1 minus 4 plus 3i, right? Because remember our I cycles, right? I equals square root negative 1. So I squared equals, that was right, square root negative 1 squared, which is just negative 1, right? Okay. Multiplication, this becomes 6 minus 21i minus 10i minus 35 minus 4 plus 3i. Now let's combine like terms. 6 plus negative 35, what's that? Yeah. And then negative 29 minus 4, what is that? All right, so I have a negative 33, right? And then negative 21i minus 10i is negative 31. And then negative 31i plus 3i is what? Negative 28i. And this is my final answer. That's it. Questions on that? Mhm. If you're on your exam and you forget about your radicals and everything, you can always look on your formula sheet, right? Right here where it says complex numbers, there you go. I equals square root negative 1. I squared is equal to negative 1, right? So on and so forth. You have your properties of radicals over here. Your exponent property, like when you have a variable raised to a negative power, becomes 1 over that variable, etc. 1 second. Lost track of where I was. Sorry. Oh, baby. Oh, baby, this question. All right, y'all gonna have to bear with me 1 second. I don't have that open. Oh, wow. How about that? All right. Well, you guys try this while I find this sheet that I'm looking for online. Finish already? What you mean? It's the easy one. All right, here's the hard part, right? I got a right triangle here, there, right? And I have to find that other leg, right? I have to find C over here, little c, right? So how can I find that? What technique do I have? Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Come on, why you not? Give me a minute. This thing froze. All right, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So just plug it in. 4 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, right? 16 plus 25 equals c squared. Add these together. What's that? 41, something like that? I don't know. Equals c squared, right? Then you just want to square root both sides. So c is equal to square root 41, right? But our question asks us specifically, what is tan A? Now, y'all remember SOHCAHTOA, right? So we know that tan is opposite over adjacent, right? But I want tan of A, so I'm up here, right? So what's my opposite over adjacent? What's the answer? Uh-huh. 4 over 5. Very good, right? Because I'm at angle alpha, I'm at angle A here. My opposite is away from me. That's the 4. My adjacent is next to me. That's the 5, right? So just 4 over 5, and I'm done. That's it. What about cosine of B? What's that equal? So B, I'm here, right? So what is that? Very good, right? So the adjacent over here will be 4 over my hypotenuse to square root 41. But y'all already know it's illegal for me to have radicals in my denominator. So I have to rationalize the denominator. So we're going to multiply by square root 41 over square root 41. So this final answer will be what? 4 square root 41 over 41. All right. Questions on this? Anybody? All right. So SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. TOA, tan is opposite over adjacent. All right. Now, y'all have a second formula sheet. In case y'all forget, all you need is the right triangle definitions right here. All right. So we have sine opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tan opposite over adjacent. Right here, this first little square right here. All right, on your second formula sheet. All right. Everybody good with this question before? All right. Try this out. This top one has nothing to do with that. This is your last question on the final. All right, let's try it out. I have a right triangle like this. I have an angle A up here, an angle B here, and an angle C. Opposite angle C is leg C. Opposite angle A is leg A. Opposite angle B is leg B. All right. Now they're telling me that tan of A is 3 over 5. Now remember, tan is what? Opposite over adjacent, right? So tan of A, opposite will be 3 here. My adjacent will be 5, right? So now I got to figure out what's C, right? Real simple to figure out C. C, we just use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 3 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. Let's scroll down a little bit. 9 plus 25 equals C squared. Now what's that? 29, 34 equals C squared, something like that. Then you just square root both sides. Let me see, 15, 16, 17. Nope. All right, so C is equal to square root 34. And just come back up. All right, square root 34. But here's the kicker, right? I have a second triangle. Same thing, angle A, angle B, angle C, right triangle. Opposite angle C is leg C, opposite angle A is leg A. This is an A, by the way. And an opposite leg B, I mean, angle B is leg B, right? Now, this second triangle, A is equal to 12. And they want to know, what does C equal? right? Now this C, this is the real answer to the whole question. All right. How do we do this, right? Use ratios, right? So let's say, I don't know, square root 34 over 3 is equal to, let's say, C over 12. Everybody sees how I did that? There's multiple ways you could do this, but you see how I did this, right? I just took the 34, the square root of 34 over and put it over the 3, right? And I made it correspond to the one that I have here, right? Now I'm avoiding using the B term because I know what this B term is, but I don't know what this B term is, right? So I'm trying to make my life easy, right? Anyway, after doing all of that, right? Just cross multiply. Keep it simple, just cross multiply, right? So this is going to become 3 times C equals 12 times square root 34. After that, just divide by 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other, right? Now, 12 divided by 3 is what? 4, right? So this is 4 square root 34. That's my answer, and I'm done. All right? So 4 square root 34. All right. Any questions on this? Anybody? Last question on the exam, probably the hardest question on the exam. Mhm. Go ahead.
Um, I have the same answer paper.
Where? The 4 square root 34, you had that?
Yes,
That's it. That's the answer.
but the first one we did,
You mean the question before this?
no, the same question here.
Okay.
Before I found the, before I arrived at the course where we did the call, I did a 10
Mm-hmm.
A,
Mm-hmm.
which is equal to opposite over adjacent, and I did that,
Mm-hmm.
and there I got B to be 20. I don't know.
You got B20.
What?
You mean this B right here?
Yes.
That's fine. You did it in a different way. That's fine. Yeah.
So at the end, when I cross multiply, I have
Yeah.
3B, which is equal, 3B equal to 60.
3B is equal to C. Okay.
67.
Got you.
Then I cross multiply. I divided up there
Yeah.
by 3.
Got
So
you.
to be 20.
Okay.
Before I move on and have a 4 square root of 10.
Got you. That's fine. That's all correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's multiple ways to do this question. As long as we all end up with the same answer that they're looking for, we're good to go. All right. So that's it. That's your entire final. All right. Step by step through every single question. All right. One last thing I want to show you guys. All right. So just bear with me 1 second. I got to open up an app on my computer. All right. Let me maximize this. All right. So I still have that. Awesome. Let's put this down here. Let me copy this. Okay. So I'm going to take this question. All right. And we're going to go over to AI. My favorite AI is Microsoft Copilot. I highly encourage all of you guys to use it. Why? Because we all have it for free. All right. If y'all want to use ChatGPT or Gemini, go ahead. I don't care. All right. But I encourage you to use Copilot. Anyway, right? What did I do? I just snipped the question that we just had, right? So I'm gonna paste it. There we go. Right? Now, all you have to do, say to Copilot, Give me a question just like this one. Boom. Let it think for a while, you know, and then boom, it generates a brand new question for me to answer. Right? And then now I can go on my piece of paper, try it out, right? And then after that, I can say, all right, give me the answer to this question. And then when it spits back out the answer, right? I can just check and see that to verify that I got the right answer. If I didn't get the right answer, right? If I didn't get the right answer, then what you call it? Give me another question just like it, try it again. Just keep going until you get it right, right? You can also say, all right, show me step by step how to work this problem, right? And it'll do that for you as well. And then give me another question just like it. Now you do it, right? You can keep going with this until you have a couple hundred exams, right? Like a couple of finals where you get 100 on it. After that, you're ready for your final. Good to go. So that's how I would study for this. All right. Um, you guys, please sign this. Let me get your first name, your last name, your EMPL ID. All right. If you guys want a copy of the video, just drop your email on there and I'll email that over to you. No problem. All right. I'm gonna take this down. Is that okay? This is good. Um, you already have it in Microsoft. It's in your email. Yeah. But you know what? I owe you something. Hold on. I said that I was gonna give you something. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. Two. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Here. So this is the QR code, right? So you can get all the questions that we did today, right? Just cut and paste those questions, into AI. Give me another question just like it. Work it yourself. If we good, move on. If you're not good, keep doing another question like it until you get it right. All right. All right. So I can take this down, right? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. All right. So we also got tutoring going on. We have more SI sessions going on. So you guys are welcome to go to as many as you like. All right. Or you can go to tutoring, your choice. Okay. All right.